Hello viewers, Super GT here. Now we're going into probably the most newbie of all of the hoppers. It's the Track Toys hopper, and in this one we have the likes of the BAC Mono, the KTM X-Bow. You can see them all laid out behind me, and this is going to be the worst start you'll ever see. Actually, it probably won't be. You'll probably see plenty worse than this. And you can see that the BAC Mono goes for the interesting instantly turn 90 degrees to the right strategy and block the entire circuit. And if he wanted to create chaos, then he is well and truly succeeded. As we head down the hill, then that race kind of died out, and not too much happened. I did have some pressure on the final lap, as you can see here. I've gone for the Lotus Exige S, and the guy behind me has gone for the 411, I believe it is, or 211, can't remember the name. Another Lotus basically, and he's got tons of handling, whereas I've set this up more for a bit of straight line speed. It is a bit harder with this homologation to try to get a car to stand out in terms of speed, but I knew that if I could just get a car with a bit more speed in a straight line, you beat most people more of the time, because these cars kind of handle really well anyway. Now there's a possibility here around the final turn of getting wiped out by a crossbow. Luckily he just stays to one side, and we can come through to finish in third place. We move to Sebring in the United States, once again in the Lotus. Well, the whole video will be in the Lotus. Starting in 13th out of 14, going into the first corner. We're just going to play it really safely, just stay very narrow indeed. Let everyone wash out very wide, kill each other out there. So I've gained a couple of positions. That guy's going to deploy a lag switch, try to go through me, and it hasn't really worked. He's gone backwards, I think. And then more contact here. I'm going to look up the inside line. Just resume in front of the crossbow, not quite. But we got ahead of a Mono who was wide on the grass. And then it's a drag race down towards the hairpin. I'm into third place. I've gone from 13th to third, 10 places gained, and it's been barely half a lap into the hairpin. A little bit late on the brakes, but we are just going to be able to stay on the tarmac. BAC Mono there, very wide onto the grass, so I'm up into second place now. Now that is really just how you do it. That's how you start. Obviously you can get very unlucky and just get smashed off. It's very easy for that to happen, but taking the inside line most of the time does work in most cases. Just playing it very safe. Sliding the car through there and then into the tricky right 90 degree right hander with a reprofiled curb on the exit, which you can actually take now. I mean, that curb, famous for killing many people. You will bounce up and down like you're on a pogo stick if you're on that curb there, but now it's okay, in this game at least. So the awards for worst overtake attempt of the year, nomination number 1 is this. KTM X-Bow comes flying up the inside out of nowhere, just pushes me straight off the track. So I'm going to rejoin, try to rejoin at least, without mullering these two guys coming past. Now you can see here I've got semi-good straight line speed, as I said. So these two guys got a decent run on the start of the straight, but I'm starting to catch back up again. So kind of good for Sebring. Lots of long straights at this track. So you do want to have some good straight line speed. And then, well, there we go. Our nominee for worst overtake is now in the wall. So it serves him right, really. Karma does exist, perhaps. Now, back past these two guys, back up into 4th place, crossing the line. And we are on lap number 2, into the first corner. Worried about that proximity arrow glowing orange, but luckily nothing comes of it. And we're going to move to the inside of this other Lotus, Elise, I believe. And we are nicely done there. Oh, he's at the Exige as well. I don't know. Correct me, please. Into turn number 1, 2, 4. I don't know. I was through into third, and then at the start of lap number 3, the two leaders weighing in on each other. The Mono wiping out the other guy up into second place. The Spaniard absolutely ruthless. Now he goes in a little bit narrow here. Clearly has a strategy in mind to go very defensive. So I'm going to be patient here. I've got the straight line speed. I can just wait for him to go around this corner, and then we've got the run down towards the hairpin. A fairly long straight. And then he just moves over to the left hand side for me. Cheers mate, I'll just go up the inside and just take first place. He could have made that a lot harder for me by staying on the inside, but he didn't. Braking just before the 300 board, he's going to lunge up the inside. He's far too late on the brakes though, he has stayed on the track, but I'm going to get the cut back done and move back up into my rightful position of first as we stretch away from the hairpin into the next complex of corners. A rather tricky little complex actually, probably one of the hardest sections to get right on this track is this area here, and the car actually gliding through here really nicely through that left-hander double apex, beautifully balanced, and then into the 90-degree right. Again, tricky corner, but this car making light work of it. And then at the end of the track, or end of the race, finishing in first place, so I guess that calls for a little victory dance. Anyway, we move on to Prague, back in Europe now, so starting just within the reach of the top 10, plenty of launch off the line, straight up into 5th place. We're going to go wide, just hold off at the moment, and then there's the contact. I was waiting for it, because you never really get through that first corner without contact, so it was bound to happen, and it did materialise in the end. And memories of being smashed off at this track coming up in my mind once again. So these two guys going very wide, I could just see that gap opening up, and I went for the space, went a little bit more patient than those guys, onto the bridge up into 4th place behind another mono. Plenty of track toy cars here, plenty of monos that is. So one of the noobiest cars, I mean in A class Forza 6 it was the mono, that was the default noob machine, and then in S class they had the KTM X-Bow, the S class default noob machine. So plenty of those on offer in this lobby. Now I do like this homologation system actually. It's okay because the fact that all the cars are fairly similar does make for some fairly close racing. And when I've got up to the front sometimes against someone else of equal or roughly equal ability, the racing is very good. Well, it can be, obviously it just depends on the intentions of the other person. Most of the time they do just want to kill you. But if they don't, then it can be alright. But I wouldn't mind seeing the old class hoppers return, that would be nice. Anyway, back onto the bridge. I was very patient passing this KTM X-Bow. It is a narrow track here at Prague, so you do have to be very patient, wait for the space to open up. I do have the straight line speed, so wait for the bridge, and then I could easily sail past up into 2nd place. Now once again, it kind of materialises like this often. You get a bad start, the leader gets no trouble at all and just pulls away. He's already 1,500 feet away. Now by the end of the race I pulled that into about 500 feet, but obviously the race wasn't quite long enough. 7 laps. I do like that the races are a little bit longer in this game compared to Forza 6. So that's just a shrug of shame there, finishing 2nd. We can try to correct that here at Noob City. So here we go. The noob hopper in the noob machines at Noob City. It doesn't get any noobier than this. In 3rd place on the grid, around the outside of the mono, straight up into 2nd place. I thought I was going to get through there cleanly, but no, that never quite happens at Noob City. You're always going to become victim of a noob, and it has transpired here. Next to the crossbow, we are through okay, resuming in 4th place, and I get a big kick of oversteer down the exit. Now this mono is just going to... yeah. You can't write this stuff, guys. Noob City in a noob machine, and I just get wiped out by a noob move. Absolutely shocking stuff. Well, it's actually... No, I correct myself there. It's not shocking at all. This is just normal behaviour at Noob City. Just perfectly normal day here, really. And then on the exit of the hairpin, getting the drag on over that BSC mono quite easily. So a couple of laps went by, not too much happened, but then as I was saying earlier, you can get some good races, and the rest of this race turned out to be one. So it might be Noob City, but sometimes it can be Pro City. So the guy in the lead there just dropping back, it did say caution ahead as he just slowed down. So that's basically, that caution warning is basically a noob indicator. So in this case it wasn't quite correct because he was the leader and he's just letting us past. but most of the time it's because someone has slowed down and they're going to ram you off. So it is actually fairly useful to know that that is coming. But anyway, back to the race. We have 4 of us away at the front. I go up the inside of the mono into the chicane, way too deep though, far too late on the brakes, and I'm going to surrender third place, surrender second place, and go back down to third. And then at the start of lap number 4, winding down towards the first chicane, get a decent run out of the previous corner. Looking up the inside, good move on the brakes, fairly late slide into position, up into second, and then into the hairpin. I'm going to brake a little bit too late there, and then the guy in 4th place is going to follow me through in the Lotus, and then just to rub it in there, someone in a BAC Mono getting lapped and just spinning into the wall. It just doesn't get any noobier than that. Anyway, down the back straight, try to open up that gap slightly. We can perhaps gain 100 feet or more because of the straight line advantage. Breaking at the end, or sorry, the start of that curb, and it's going to hook us up nicely with the first apex of the chicane, and then the second. So the guy up ahead in the other Lotus. I think these Lotus seems to be the best cars for this class, at least from what I've seen in my experience so far. So we are going to try to reel this guy in. We have about 1.5 laps remaining, and it's still a very close race actually. You see the 4 of us are within about 200 feet of each other, so that is very good to see that actually, to see that 4 cars, 4 different people can be so close. And it is a fairly long race, or a longer race than what you'd normally experience. 5 laps around the full version of Yas Marina. It's going to take well over 10 minutes, which is longer than your typical Forza online race. Well, your typical Forza online race is normally go around the first corner and rage quit because you just got rammed off about 4,000 times. So normally they last about 10 seconds. But in this case, we've actually managed to make it around 4 laps of Yas Marina. It's actually quite good going. So once we escape all of the idiots of lap 1, and we have our class of our own at the front here, it's actually quite good racing. We've got the run on this guy, moving up into first place. You can see there, decent speed on the straights, and we can just about carry that through the corners. I think if you can, in this kind of class, in this homologation, you kind of want a bit more straight line speed, I think, compared to the handling. Obviously it depends on the track, so you can ideally have a couple of cars lined up so that you can just change the car or change the tune at least. But having a bit of straight line speed, at least with handling, there's something you can normally do about it. If you haven't got straight line speed, there's nothing you can do really. You can't just simply make the car go quicker in a straight line. Whereas if your car handles badly, you can sometimes do something. You can just change the lines you take. At the end of the race, you can see here, I did pull away initially down the start sector and the second sector, mainly because of the straight lines. But then you have this very, well, just awful final sector. Lots of corners, one after another. Not many straights to report of. So I was struggling a little bit for corner speed. I just about managed to hold off the challenge of this guy behind as we come out of the final turn. And there it is, it's going to be a victory at Noob City. So clearly Super GT is the biggest noob in the world. And there we go, first place. And yet another victory. We're going to vote for Homestead there actually. I actually quite like that there's these tracks, you know, VIR and Homestead. It's good to see them online, because it's quite frustrating never racing them online on Forza 6. But there you go guys, those are the results there. I do hope you enjoyed the video as always. So if you're new, then do subscribe and obviously hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. I hope you did. Now plenty more videos to come out for Forza 7 of course, and plenty of live streams too. So do look out for those in the future. So thank you very much for watching as always. I shall see you next time. Goodbye.